There the impala are also feeding. Looks like they're feeding on some sedges or some grass through there. There we go. Looks like a sedge that impala was feeding on. But we know that the impala are mixed feeders, so they will browse and they will graze, depending on the time of year. That's one of the reasons why impala are so successful in this area, and why there are so many, is because they will adapt depending on the time of year and the food that is available. They will then feed on it, and that is known as a mixed feeder. Look how well camouflaged it is. I mean, I suppose it's mainly because of the shadows and that through the thicket, and the bush is so thick, but you struggle to see them. And actually, have a look at that. When they walk through those dead branches, then they do almost disappear. Even through there, those green branches, you just see the odd stripe and flick of a tail. I've been speaking a lot about camouflage, so I do think maybe the stripes help camouflage them a little bit in the thickets. There's also a wildebeest that I could just get a glimpse of through there. Now, it's not unusual to see wildebeest and zebra in the same area. It does happen from time to time. One of the reasons is because they're both herbivores, and they generally referred to as plains game. They're animals that enjoy the open plains, and that is why you'd probably see wildebeest and zebra in the same area. And also because they don't compete directly for food. The wildebeest, it has been known that the wildebeest generally feed on the shorter grass and the zebra feed on the longer grass. So there's no direct competition for food. Now, Jack, you want to know if zebra are related to horses? Yes, they are. Zebra are related to horses. Equus. How's my Latin? That's the scientific name of the zebra. And I think this species of zebra, if I'm not mistaken, is Equus burchelli. I'll double check that quickly. Let's have a look. I hope I'm right. I think I am. I'm not going to doubt myself. Oh dear. They say, hang on. Oh, so here they say, now I'm almost certain there was the Burchell zebra was Equus burchelli, but the book that I've got now says that let me try to show you, but this species of zebra that we get here are known as the plains zebra, and they are known as Equus quagga. Now the quagga was actually an extinct species in Africa, and it was a mixture between a horse, or a zebra and a donkey rather. That was what a quagga was. But yeah, it's interesting. So anyway, plain zebra, Equus quagga, and they are related to horses. There we go, Jack. They seem to have moved off now, and I think we are going to do the same. Let's see what else we can find. I'm in search of lion, but no luck just yet, but also giraffe. I'd love to show you some giraffe this afternoon. So we'll have a look and see what we can find. Let's head back to Stef quickly, who's still walking around, and see how he's doing on this warm afternoon.
I'm trying to think of the last time that we managed to see a giraffe on foot, and to be quite honest with you, I can't even remember. I'm trying to now, for the life of me, as you could probably see from the vacant look in my eye and my expression there. When was the last time we walked into a giraffe on foot, or at least I did? I don't know, a couple of months, maybe 3 months, 4 months ago, a long time ago. But if I can find it again, I just spied an arthropod that we very rarely see on Safari Live. In actual fact, I've never shown you one of these particular insects on Safari Live, and I only get to see 1 or 2 a year, maybe. So I'm going to try my best to try and share this with you. It is one of the most horrifying or terrifying insects that we find out here, and it is living on this branch. And I'm just going to pick up this stump without getting violin spidered. And let's see if we can find it for you. So come along on the journey. Yes, we've got him. So right here is the nightmare-inducing tailless whip scorpion, or ambly piggy. Isn't that just the most amazing creature? Absolutely harmless, made famous in the Harry Potter series. I can't remember which one, and it's only because my little boy watches Harry Potter pretty much non-stop that I know it's inside there. But one of the wizards makes one of these dance. In any case, back to the here and now. So these very flat arthropods live on these stumps, live flat and making use of the gaps between where these stumps lie and whatever substrate they're on. And they hunt mainly for cockroaches and other insects and worms, catching them with those very elongated pincers in the front. Now, those pincers in the front have got claws like hands that are now folded against the face. And what is especially nice about them is they've got these massively long pedipalps. Now, I'm going to see if I can show you one. Here's one here. Now, I'm going to ask you to follow it with my grass. It stretches from here back to past the back of the body, out to past the side legs, forward to past the head, and then out even more, another third of the body. So that is one of these pedipalps that it uses to feel around its environment and feel out prey. So I'm going to trace it again for you. So from the tip of the grass, back, around to the outside of the leg, all the way to there, and then back into the front here. And that is how they find their prey. And when they find it, they catch them with these two hand-like appendages with the most gruesome spikes on at the end. Don't sting it, they don't have any venom, they don't have any stinging appendages. They literally just peg it down or pin it down with those arms, and then they bite it and they chew on it until they've managed to subdue it and then eat it. Just one of the most amazing creatures out here. So this, again, is the tailless whip scorpion, or ambly piggy, as they call them. Nice, eh? I like that. That is one of my favorite things out here. Alright, we're going to carry on with our adventure. I'm going to put him back underneath his log. Thank you very much for sharing your afternoon with us. And we're going to send you off to James and catch up with you in a little bit.
While we've been gone, everybody, we've changed a tyre. I just, paused there because I realised the children weren't with us anymore. And so for me to be talking to you like this, well, I just think you'd probably become offended after a while. There we have two Wasserbock, waterbuck, and they're coming down for a drink, astoundingly. One doesn't often see waterbuck by the water, except at Chitwa Dam, where there are many. And, many of them actually seem to live pretty much in the lodge, which, of course, I would do if I could. Now, that waterbuck seems to be confused. It seems to think it is some form of mountain goat. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever seen that quite amazing YouTube clip of those goats that live on that dam wall. Have you ever seen this, David? It is astonishing, to say the least. An almost vertical dam wall, and these goats walk along it, eating off bits and pieces of whatever flesh there happens to be. Not flesh, whatever growth there happens to be. Dave, sorry, wait. Can you see that big bird up the top there? Way up. It's turning now towards us and it's going to hover. See it hovering?
Negative.
It's pretty much directly above the big knobthorn over the end of the dam. Up and to the right. Yep. Up. Way up high. Middle of the frame now. It's hovering there. Oh, Davey, it's between those two clouds that you're on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sort of. No. See the two clouds? It's now flying towards the third cloud behind this tree.
Oh, I don't see it.
You don't see it, do you, David? It's hovering, and the reason there are only two birds that I know of that do this, and I think I know what that one is just from what it's doing. It's now coming into the third cloud. Right, see if you can bang him there. Ha! Now, my guess is that that is a black-breasted snake eagle. I don't think it is. I think it's a vulture. Ah, come here, bird. Isn't that amazing? It is a vulture. Never seen a vulture do that before. I think that's a white-backed vulture, pretending to be a helicopter. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You know why it's doing that, Dave? It's doing. I was going to say exactly what Kirsten's just said to me in my ear. She said, it's pretending to be the matrice. What I was going to say is that it's been spending time, obviously, with Connor and his drone, Marvin the matrice. I mean, are we all in agreement that that is a vulture? I mean, it's difficult to tell, but I'm 99% sure that that's what we're looking at. A hovering white-backed vulture. It's not a black-breasted snake eagle. Come this way, bird. Red fire... It is a black-breasted snake eagle. Is it? It's coming closer. Red fire queen, you say it looks like it's floating. That is precisely what it's doing. It's got some white underneath it. But I think its wings are too dark. It's not a black-breasted snake eagle. Look at it hovering there, isn't it amazing? Oh, goodness gracious. I mean, that could be all sorts of things. It's just too far and too into the sun for me to see properly. And now it's going past the sun. Watch out, everybody, you're going to go blind. The waterbuck must be very distressed that we're not looking at them. So distressed that they've disappeared. We missed the one mountain goating up to the top of the damn wall. Let's go around the other side if we can't see them. That was very cool. Sorry I couldn't be more definite on the identification there. The black-shouldered kite and the black-breasted snake eagle are the only two birds that I know of that do that well, as a matter of course. Let's just go up here. We've got some impalas to the left. Hello, Gonzo. Gonzo, you want to know about the number of antelope species that we get here. There's that hovering beastly bird. I'm going to pretend that it is a vulture, I think. Can you see it, David?
Yes.
But it's flying too far away from us. It's huge. It is very unusual behavior. Gonzo, I shall talk to you now. You know what that is. Okay, I've just identified it without shadow of a doubt. That's a Wahlberg's eagle. See how thin the tail is as it stops flying, and it is very pale underneath. It's one of, I would suspect actually quite strongly, that is one of our famous pale form Wahlbergs that lives around about the Djuma Dam area. I think that's what we're looking at. No, are we? I'll tell you why now. Suddenly I'm just a little bit distrustful of myself because its wings aren't quite as square on the sides. Kirsten says it's definitely a bird. Thank you, Kirsten. That's a wonderful, very helpful person that you are. It is still astounding to watch. Anyway, I'm going to forget it at that and get on to Gonzo's question. Much easier to answer than what bird that is. antelope species. There's one of them over there. We've got 9 antelope species here. Gonzo, we have got the impala. We have got the 3 tragelaphid, the bushbuck, nyala and kudu. We've got the wildebeest. We have got the waterbuck. We have got the steenbok and the duiker. And it's always at this point and I forget what the other one is.
Nyala?
No, we've had him. We've had Nyala. And I know that some people count the sable, which we do get here very seldom, as one of them. I normally don't, I don't think. Am I leaving out a really obvious one? Let's go through them again. Impala, bushbuck, kudu, Nyala, wildebeest, waterbuck, duiker, steenbok. You see, I'm getting stuck. I think it is sable. I think that's the other one that we had. I mean, I always say we're getting... Yeah, I did that. Yeah, Claude Gate, you say it's sable. I think that's pretty much what it is. In fact, it must be. I mean, it can't be another one unless I'm forgetting something deeply obvious. Sable, we've seen once on the dam cam while I've been here, and I think they've been seen at Cheetah Plains once or twice. Anyway, we've now come towards, well, Twin Dam, Boon Pan, which is Horsana's favourite dam, Pan, just the other side there. That's inside Little Lowry. And we're just going to see if those leopards aren't around there, and then we're going to go towards where seen. There is a vehicle there, and I was a little bit hopeful when we got here, but I saw somebody actually get out of that car, so I don't think it's because... Alright, let's head across to Steph. I think he's got something interesting for you. We're about to go and check where she was last seen.
I have actually got something quite interesting for you, but it's got something to do with the past tense, I suppose, is the best way to put it. I don't know if you remember, a few scant months ago, we had the drought that we sort of perennially come back to and chat about. But today's the first day where I feel like the drought's back has finally been broken. Generally here, by the time we get to this part of summer, January, February, March, the grass is so thick here that you can't walk through it. You have to step through it with your legs. And today's the first day that I'm actually stepping big steps to get through the grass. And on top of this crest, it's just recovered so amazingly. After just a few months ago, we could walk wherever we want. There was not a grass blade. So for those of you who only have joined recently onto Safari Live, have a look out there at that vista that you're seeing through this thicket in front of us. And imagine everything that's green being brown and there being not a blade of grass. That is exactly what we had here in October of last year. Now, I can hardly walk through here without having to lift my legs up to get through the grass. And I just want you to come at sort of leopard eye level through this grass and just have a look at how awesome this grass cover is and how it's changed. It just absolutely astounds me at the recovery ability of the bush. I mean, at my house in Hoedspruit, I haven't got any lawn left. The lawn hasn't recovered, not even a single leaf blade. And yet, underneath the trees around my house, this has happened, and it was exactly the same thing. October, you can go back and have a look at your screenshots from October. I know Taylor did a couple of screen grabs, I think, in the same place. I can't remember where it was, on quarantine open areas or somewhere around, when she got here, to show the change of the season. And just correspond those pictures that you may have or may be able to share with everybody else through the hashtag Safari Live or via the email address questions@wildearth.tv, and just have a look at exactly the change. It's just astounding, really. I know I keep on using that word, but Mother Nature is truly something spectacular. I'm actually battling to find content, believe it or not. Lots of grass and things to talk about. In actual fact, that's exactly what I'm going to talk about right now. This is Panicum maximum. This is the best grass as far as I'm concerned that the Sabi Sands produces. It is quite a tall grass. It only grows in shade. It doesn't grow out in the open. It's a grass that completely loves shade. You find it all the way from the drainage lines all the way onto the crests of the hill, and has a very big grassy stalk. Lots of nutrition in the leaves, lots of moisture. Very tasty grass to eat. Comes out to these seeds. Birds, insects, animals the like eat the seeds. The seeds themselves taste almost like a raw grain, either cereal or type of grain that you find on top of freshly baked bread. It is very good tasting grass. And this is one of those treasure troves of the Sabi Sands, this Panicum maximum. It's already dropped its seed. Already next year's Panicums have been seeded. Everything's good. Life's good at the moment. All right. Byron's got another type of Chelonian for you. We'll catch up later.
It's a very big word, Steph. Wow, but yes, indeed, we've got a terrapin, and this is a serrated-backed terrapin. You can see the serrations actually around the back of it. This is a younger one. They do get much bigger. And he's just sunning himself out on the bank of this little dam, little water hole that we are at the moment. We've had no sign, unfortunately, of lions or anything else just yet. We'll just still try. Maybe later we'll get some luck. Nice to see the terrapin out the water like that resting. Apparently they do not smell very good. I've never smelt a terrapin, but I've heard of people that have tried to keep them as pets in terrariums. But apparently they stink. So I would not go and pick one up or try keep one. And it's interesting, they obviously wait in the water for animals, especially like animals, buffalo, or any animal that comes and lies in the water. These terrapins would go and pick off the ticks, and they usually feed on the ticks and other insects around them, but mainly ticks off animals. That's what terrapins enjoy feeding on. Now, something else that is interesting that we've got over here is if you have a look right up in the tree directly above that terrapin, there's some nests up here. Now those look like possibly red-billed buffalo weaver nests. I would say that's what they are, but then you can see that very white substance in the tree over there. Now this could possibly be linked to James's terrapins. Now this, I think, is a foam nest frog. Not I think, I know this is a foam nest frog. and some people have been guessing that maybe those James's tadpoles. Sorry, did I say James's terrapins? James's tadpoles. See what happens when you've out in the sun for too long. So, so what I think is, perhaps some of us think that maybe the tadpoles belong to the foam nest frog. I'm not sure, maybe. Now, this foam nest frog, what's amazing is that is incredibly high above the water in that large tree, and what happens is the frogs climb up to the top of those branches. The females call, the males call, they attract one another, and the males, not just one male usually, it might be one or two or three males, in fact, that will go and try and fertilize those eggs. And while they're up there, as the female is laying, that mixture of the liquid all starts being churned up, and while it mixes, it forms this foam, which is then basically sits around the branch and solidifies slightly on the outside, just forms a bit of a crust to protect those little eggs. And then about a week later, just over a week, when they hatch, they drop straight down into the water below. So those nests are always above water. And it's quite a drop for those little tadpoles. They'll wriggle down as soon as the eggs hatch, and then they just drop straight out of that foam nest. Now, usually the nest can be maybe a few inches off or above the water, and then also a few meters above the water, just like this one is right up there. That's quite high. That looks like at least 10 meters or so, I would say. I would hazard a guess at about 10 meters above ground. It's amazing. Apparently it is distasteful, so it prevents birds from raiding the nests, but I think there are still some birds that if they do come across a nest like that, they'll try and pick the little tadpoles or the eggs out of the nest. Bit of a cool breeze at the moment, which is quite nice. So I think we're going to continue. We'll leave this down. Unfortunately, not much. Yeah, Dave, you say you thought giraffes had a long drop during birth. Exactly. Not nearly as long as these little tadpoles. And you can imagine, in proportion to their body size, just how sorry, the sun, how far they've got to drop out of that nest. All right. I really thought we were going to see a bit more this side. Unfortunately not. Well, not just yet. But it's too soon to panic. We'll see what else we can find. Maybe bump into some elephant. Thankfully, there is a cool breeze. It's not nearly as hot as 2 days ago. We had a really, really hot afternoon. Oh, just a glimpse of a woodland kingfisher flying past there. I don't know if you got to see that. Quite a lot of birds I can hear, arrow-marked babblers. Shamama, I'm not sure if terrapins eat tadpoles. Possibly, but I actually don't know. I really don't know. Just trying to think. Unfortunately, I don't have a reptile book with me, but maybe some of our viewers, if you can find out, let us know. Do terrapins, are they able to catch tadpoles? I wonder if they're even able to catch them. I doubt it. Now, speaking of terrapins and creatures in the water, James is at Chitwa Dam, and I'm sure he's got plenty to show you over there.
Plenty to show you, everybody. We've got some hippopotami, we've got some Egyptian goose, we've got a couple of water thickneys. There are the Egyptian gooses. The water thickneys have flown off, but you can hear them going. There they are. Well done. A blacksmith lapwing. And a dove. And there's a dove behind there. I don't see the pratin coals here at the moment. I think they're probably out pratin coaling. No, I think they are there actually. While you look around the place, I'm just going to check for the pratin coals. It wasn't a dove, it was a pratin coal that you were looking at. They were all there. All the pratin coals, the collared pratin coals. And there's a gorgeous bushbuck ram there. Isn't he lovely? So, as usual, lots going up here. Lots going up. Lots going on here at the Chitwa Dam. I'm still doing a little bit of a scan around to see if we can't see the beastly crocodilians. But I do not see them as yet. They're lurking beneath the surface, waiting for a victim. Now, Byron was talking about terrapins and catching, whether they can catch tadpoles. I suspect quite strongly they can. Ooh. I think this crocodile, is that a hippo that just went under there? I think it's a croc. Yeah, right below us. I think it might be stalking us, David. Just wait for it to come up there. If it does come up, I shall tell you immediately, of course. I think that terrapins probably do catch the odd tadpole. They are largely carnivorous. They will eat bits and pieces of algae, I suppose, as well. I've certainly seen them eating algae along the surface of the pan, especially at Djuma Pan. Oh, there we go. Teeth wide open there. And closing them just in time not to be seen on the television. It's such a peaceful scene, and I don't know what it is about sitting in a waterhole. People, when they go on safari on their own and they drive around national parks, they tend to drive from waterhole to waterhole to waterhole. And it's because there's this I suppose this is tremendous sort of sense of expectation that things might come down to drink here, that there might be some form of action, and also it's just a peace. It's comfortable to be next to the water for some reason. Probably some deep seat. Oh my goodness, David, turn that camera to where I'm looking. I see a moorhen. Not only do I see a moorhen, I see a moorhen, I think, on a nest down below that, right in there. Yeah, in that bush below there. Just keep your eyes trained on that thing, on that little bit of bush there. I think he's gone inside. I'm just going to find him in the book while you do that. Indeed, a moorhen. Just keep looking in there. Keep staring away. I'm just quickly going to find him in the book for you. Oh dear. Or was it? Perhaps. No, it's not a moorhen in the slightest. Sorry, it was a black crake. Well, they look very similar. Let me just see if he's there again. How did I make that mistake? I can even hear him calling. I'll play the call for you, and then I'll show you the picture. Right, here we go. Field guide, K for crake. There we are, crake, black crake. There it is. It's not an uncommon bird, but I've never seen it here before. That's very cool. I wonder how many of you have got that on your bird list. The black crake, common resident, Amorornis flavirostris. I'm not going to even attempt to remember that. I'm just wondering, I'm going to leave this thing calling on the dashboard here to see if it doesn't pop out again. There it is. It's there, David. Zoom in far right-hand side. There. Ah. There is the black crake itself. How cool is that? The moorhen has got yellow legs and red beak. Not the other way around. It's not, like I say, not an uncommon bird. You see them quite a lot. But just not here. That is really cool. Nev, you reckon the black crake is a nicer find than the moorhen? I'm not sure what you have against moorhens, but I'll take your word for it. That's really very nice indeed. Good. A couple of thunderheads building to the far east there. That's a beautiful cloud. And then I think we'll move on from here into the clearings below and see if we can't find something in there. Perhaps Tundi is sitting in a tree over there. That would be very nice. David, did you notice the colours on that black crake?
I did.
Beautiful, wasn't it? Very lemon yellow beak, yeah, and carmine sort of crimson feet.
Quite nice.
Very nice. Now,
we have managed to find you such a special thing. This is Nephila, or a golden orbweb spider, and the significance of this particular spider is that it is the first one I've seen this entire season, and only the second one I've heard reported of this entire season. And although small, she represents the reseeding of these particular spiders in this area after the drought from last year. Now, because of the lack of insects that we had last year, I don't think very many of these golden orbwebs survived long after they were born whatsoever. And the result of that is that we had almost no spiders last year and a massive influx of flies. Nothing was there to catch the flies. And these spiders have needed to be parachuted in here from other areas where they didn't completely die out to reseed this area. And this particular female Nephila, she is now between these two bushes and living out the rest of this summer season here. You can see just above her is her garbage line of trophies, so to say. These particular golden orbweb spiders or orbweb spiders quite often have these garbage lines of discarded husks of their prey. And there's some speculation as to what it is. Some believe that it's a clear sign or an indication to larger mammals and birds not to walk through their web, which requires some effort to build. Others believe it's a place for the spider to hide out and to creep away from to avoid being preyed upon. I think I like to believe the first one. I quite like the idea of the spider making a visual marker for birds and animals to see before they crash through their webs. These spiders build some of the most intricate and the most sophisticated webs of all the spiders. The vertical and aerial orb webs made up of mixtures of all 7 different kinds of silk that you get. These orb web spiders are able to produce all 7 different kinds of silk that the spiders of the world can produce, and can mix them to infinity, I suppose, depending on what the need of that particular portion of the web is. Now there's entanglement snares that are not sticky and are very strong, that are between the spider and yourselves, and in actual fact between the spider and myself. And then there's the mesh or the sticky orb web, which she's actually sitting on. And that has this beautiful golden color in the right light, which gives this particular spider the name, the golden orb web spider. Awesome. Kirsty tells me that your feedback is that you're quite excited about the spider being back at Djuma, and I must be honest with you, I'm very happy to show this particular spider to you as well. I like that there's a fly there that's just flown in. Yes, there we go. And you're watching it kill, and we watched her get dinner. Well done. So she's now got it. She's now bitten it. And what we'll see is her just taking off the bits and pieces of residual silk and maybe spinning it closed. Might be a small enough morsel for it to just suck dry as she caught it there. Yeah, how's that for some action? Now Mike, you've asked me if these types of spiders eat their own webs. Mike, not that I've seen, to be quite honest with you. I have seen these spiders ball up their silk before, but I haven't seen them do anything with it. They may very well eat it. Some spiders definitely do eat the silk, so as not to lose whatever nutrients the silk holds and to be able to use it again later. I don't think these particular spiders do though, Mike. I've never really seen it with my own eyes, them ingesting their own silk. That's a more common thing for a bark spider, for instance, would eat its web every day and then spin a new one every night. These particular spiders tend to spin one web for a season and then just keep on repairing it the whole time. Very rarely will they move to another place. And to be quite honest, they can get so thick in an area. I mean, I would imagine over the next couple of years as you join the safari with us, you'll see an increase in these spiders to a point where you can't even walk through the bush. They just drape from every branch and across every opening. It becomes absolutely amazing. So for those of you who enjoy this type of thing, bookmark this particular spider in this particular area being the only one on the 26th of January 2017. And you'll see in years to come, perhaps closer to 2020, where we won't be able to walk through the bush here for lack of space because of these spiders just draping from every single branch. Just really, really cool. And quite often these spiders have an attending spider called a mercury drop spider. A very clever little spider. It tends to live in the webs of these spiders. They can get quite large, and by large I mean no matter what size human being you are, if you open up your hand, that's as big as these golden orb web spiders can get. Is as big as your hand, as big as a soup plate. And they have these mercury drop spiders that live inside their webs and steal all the small prey from them that they don't eat. Now, Michael, you've commented on a remark I made about the little spiders ballooning into here. That's exactly what it's called, Michael. The young spiders will be hatched wherever their eggs were hatched. They will then climb up to the top of a grass or to the top of a pointed leaf, and they will trail out a trail of silk behind them. And at some point in the wind, the drag on that piece of silk gets so much that the spider is ripped off of the leaf and will basically be airborne and will be at the mercy of the wind, giving out more silk. Of course, increases the drag and allows that spider to sometimes travel thousands of feet up into the air, and they can actually travel hundreds of miles depending on the wind. And then as the wind drops or as the wind eddies, those spiders are then delivered or dropped into a place, and that is where that spider will make its home. So that's how some spiders propagate and how they disperse, for lack of a better word, is they use an action called ballooning, and that's that climbing to the top of a grass, letting a piece of silk go until the drag increases enough to rip the spider off, and then it travels with the wind to a place where it's deposited. And that's exactly how this little spider would have gotten here, is through that wind dispersal. Now, winter prison, knowing that I've just said that these spiders can get as big as a dinner plate, I'm going to show you, or you wanted to see how big this particular spider is. She's not a very big one. I'm going to try and put my hand in there next to her. She's probably about, that's next to her there. So she's about as big as my thumb. Her body probably about as big as my thumbnail, and I don't have very big hands myself, so she's a tiny one. She's as big as a large coin, I suppose. But some of them get as big as soup plates, much bigger than my hand. Let's see if I can pull my hand out here. I mean, that's as big as we can expect some of these spiders to get here, compared to her, and you can see she doesn't even make a speck in the middle of my palm. Alright, now on that note, I hope to find some more. I doubt it though, but why don't we send you over to Byron, who's got a bird, before it flies away, and we'll see you later.
Steph, we've had about 3 birds fly away already, but we fortunately still have this lilac-breasted roller sitting here, and they are always great to see. It flew down. Now I'm hoping it actually takes off again, because it has got the most exquisite blue on the wings when it does fly. So maybe if it spots an insect, it might fly down and you'll get a glimpse of that color. So let's sit here patiently for a little while and see if it does it. And I see it's keeping a close eye on the ground, so be ready, and we'll have a look. Now, it's so interesting that Steph managed to find that golden orb web spider. And first one, I think, first one that we've seen this season. So possibly going to start seeing a lot more fairly soon. There it goes. Look at that. Do you see? Wait. But do you see that glimpse of blue? And watch, it might take off again. Look at that. Wow. Well done, Jandre. Fantastic. That is great. And that's the blue I wanted to show you. That is the blue I wanted to show you, and it really, really is exquisite. Such a electric blue. Is he sitting up there? It's kind of the picture you want as a photographer, if you can get a bird taking off, especially a lilac-breasted roller like this. Get that beautiful blue coloration. The wings open. Well, I think, shall we continue? I'm heading towards some water holes. And just going to see if I get any activity of animals heading down to the water in this time of the afternoon. Maybe we're lucky. But James has got two tiny creatures he'd like to show you. Let's go see what they are.
There were 4. I think there's still 3, yes. Really, your arithmetic is appalling. There are 3 squirrels there. Obviously, we can see 3 of them. And there was another one up here, and we stopped here because we thought they were alarm calling at something. Well, they were definitely alarm calling at something, but we failed to find what that was. Now, you can also hear the starlings going crazy. Well, they're not going crazy, but they're being quite active, and if they were also making alarm calls. And I wonder if there isn't a snake lurking just below those little squirrels. And David is now going to tell you what tree they're sitting in, aren't you, David?
Oh, yes.
What tree are they sitting in, David?
A torchwood.
A torchwood tree, exactly. Well done, David.
Thank you, James.
Balanites mogami. Very satisfying word to say that, of course. Balanites mogami. I think that squirrel looks like he's having the best time watching the sun go down. 2 others now chasing each other around. It's very inconvenient when animals chase each other around the back of a tree, because as soon as you go the other side, then they go to the side that you were on. And as soon as you return to the side that you were on, they then go back to the other side. That is the strategy of all creatures that live on the trunks of trees, including the blue-headed tree agama and many of the woodpeckers. David, why do you laugh when we're looking at the squirrels?
It's just the pronunciation.
I don't understand why you find the squirrels so amusing. I think these are young squirrels that have just come out of their nest. And they're just enjoying tea time while they wait for Mum and Dad to bring home the supper. There's the third one, and might actually go into its hole. Sorry, Dave. Oh, they're too cute, these things. David, did I ever tell you the story of Pietertjie?
No.
I think I may have told the viewers the story of Pietertjie. But Pietertjie was, which basically means small Peter. Pietertjie was a squirrel owned by my friend Greta. And Greta was possibly the kindest-hearted woman I've ever met in all my days. And she rescued a little squirrel up at Ngala, where we used to work, and she called him Pietertjie. And Pietertjie went everywhere with Greta, and Pietertjie lived on her shoulder, and mercifully, because she wore a white uniform, he didn't relieve himself on her. He used to relieve himself elsewhere, and then come back onto her shoulder, and Pietertjie travelled to tea with her, and the guests loved Pietertjie, and Pietertjie loved the guests, and Greta loved Pietertjie, and Pietertjie loved Greta and all of us. And then, one day, Pietertjie went climbing in a mopani tree, and unbeknownst to him, sitting in the boughs of the mopani tree. David, if you could just pan sort of into the boughs of this Balanites tree and pretend that it was a mopani tree. There in the boughs sat, hidden, an African goshawk. Now, the African goshawk likes nothing more than a good squirrel for breakfast. And Pietertjie, unfortunately, met his end. The claws, talons and beaks of the African goshawk living in the mopani tree outside Greta's house. It was a very sad day, everybody. There was great tears, there was a great wailing and gnashing of teeth when Pietertjie, unfortunately, was found to be more useful as food than he was as entertainment. Now, that's not a very positive story, and many of you will remember Sam Chevalier, who told us the story of his squirrel called Monty, and he felt so bad after Monty's end. At the end of the story, he felt he couldn't leave it at such a negative juncture, and so the only way he could make it a pleasant and positive squirrel was to say that Monty had been a positive squirrel. Pietertjie was quite positive too, unfortunately, but I can't put a sheen on the way he went. I'm sure it was very unpleasant, and it was certainly very unpleasant for all of us. That is the story of Pietertjie, David. Let us have a look at these Pietertjies, which seem to be in a much better state than Pietertjie of Greta. Now, James, I'm assuming James Richard, you're wondering if these squirrels strip the bark off trees in order to mark their territories. James, I've not heard of that, but as I say that to you, I mean, I'm looking at that tree there, and underneath those squirrels, and I'm seeing some freshly stripped off bark. Now, that's the story all the way up that tree, and quite interestingly, I have not noticed it before on other Belanites mogami trees, so it's possible. James, I'm assuming that you've come across a squirrel that does that perhaps in North America or in Europe. But, no, look, I don't know that they do that. I think they go with the more traditional method of urinating when they want to mark a territory. David, can we go to the one just to the right of that and up? The top one. And get in as close as you can. Is that as we banged in?
That's it.
Can you tell what we're looking at there? Is that his elbow?
I don't know what that is.
That looks... Oh my goodness gracious me.
Growth.
It's a growth, yeah. It's a really nasty looking growth. That unfortunately seems to be on his testicles. Oof. I can't believe, I mean, I've never seen a squirrel like that. I think that is a growth on its testicles, and I think it must be excruciating. Here comes another squirrel, David, to the left. Let's just we'll keep watching that, and it's not a very positive story, no, Kirsten. This is wonderful. Look at the other one now come to the top. Now, in this tree there will be knots and little holes, and squirrels throughout the world, although they might not all scratch bark for territory, although they could well do, these ones, they are hoarders of nuts. And at this time of the year, of course, what they'll be hoarding is marula nuts, and also they will be hoarding the, not marula nuts, the balanites nuts, the torchwood tree nuts that Steph ate the other day. And I've been fairly reliably informed, I thought, that were not very good, that they were fairly toxic. Steph showed no ill effects. Papa, you're aged 4 years old, and you said, did the girl cry when the bird ate her baby squirrel? Tata, sorry. Tapa? Tapa? Oh, Tucker. Sorry. Kirsten, talk properly, girl. That's my fault. I'm just not listening. Tucker, I've obviously often heard from you, and you say, did the girl cry when the bird ate her squirrel? I'm afraid, yes, she cried quite a lot. It wasn't a nice story. And you know, Tucker, it's one of the reasons that when we are in the wild and when animals are in distress, you know, so often when we try and rescue them, it always ends very sadly, because those animals don't know how to live with us, and because they're not quite wild and they're not quite domesticated, it becomes very difficult. But that's a very nice question. Thank you, Tucker. Now, we're going to hand you across to Byron, who's got a spiral horned antelope.
Well, the males have spiral horns, James, but we've got females here, and they don't have the spiral horns, but it is the kudu. I was hoping there'd be some males around here, and I'm just trying to have a good look. We saw some oxpeckers on these kudu, and you can hear them. And we saw one that looked like it had a yellow beak, but I think it was a young red-billed oxpecker. I don't think it was a yellow-billed oxpecker. But I want to make very sure, because the yellow-billed oxpecker are quite rare and you don't see them very often. So I'm trying to have a look, and of course I can't see it now. what is that? Perhaps, Andre, have you got it there? Yeah. Just so on this kudu on the left, it's on the back of that one. Let's see through there. Yeah, just let's have a look. Hang on. There, you see that? You see, there we go. There's a yellow beak on that one, but you can see it's definitely lighter in color than the others. Now, I'm not sure. Is it a juvenile? Hang on, let me double check. Let's have a look at this, because that is not what a adult yellow-billed oxpecker looks like. Adult yellow-billed oxpecker has got a lot of yellow and a bright red, basically tip to it. No, I think this is a young red-billed oxpecker, but I can't seem to find an image. That's very interesting. I'll tell you why, because the juvenile that I can see seem to have a dark beak, and I can't seem to find one with a light yellow beak, but it's just the bottom. And I'll show you the difference between the two. Interesting to see though. Okay, now let's quickly have a look here. Now that's the red-billed oxpecker. You can see very clearly in this picture. Hang on, how's that, Chandra? There we go. Do you see that? Now I just want to show you. I mean, that's a lovely view of one too. Let's just have a look here. There, now unfortunately I can't zoom in on this, but look at those. But Chandra can. Look at these ones up here. These are juveniles. And you can see they've got dark beaks. They haven't quite turned red yet, but that one did seem to have, the lower beak did seem to be yellow. But now let me show you what. Let me just quickly get the yellow-billed oxpecker, and now have a look at this. Look at that beak. You see, it's got half of the bill is yellow, and then the tip is red. But now I don't see, and there you can see it clearly too. Now even on these juveniles, there we go. There's a juvenile apparently, and also a dark beak. So I don't know where that yellow comes from on the beak of that little oxpecker. I'm stumped. I don't know if it's a juvenile yellow-billed or if it's a juvenile red-billed. Gendre seems to think yellow. I don't know. Why is it hanging around with the red-billed then, Gendre? If it's a youngster. But I don't know. Now, was it Michael that asked what are they feeding on? And they're feeding on the ticks. They sit and they feed on the ticks off those kudu. They basically pick and groom these antelope, and they feed off the ticks and little fleas that sit in the coat. But mainly the ticks, the oxpeckers, they enjoy feeding on the ticks because they enjoy the blood. That's where it comes from. So that's why they eat the ticks. It's because they enjoy the blood. So usually, and you might find it sometimes, the oxpecker will sit on an animal that has a cut, and they go and they pick at that cut because they drink the blood. So they are after the blood. But that's why oxpeckers sit on most of the antelope species, just about all of them, except the little ones. And then obviously buffalo, rhino, giraffe, zebra, all those animals will have oxpeckers on them. Hippopotamus, oxpeckers do sit on them too. Maybe it's a new species of oxpecker that we've just discovered, Gendre. What shall we call it? What's your surname, Gendre? Awesome. Gendre, awesome. Okay. The Bandre species. Byron and Gendre? No? Not going to work. Anyway, no, yeah, I do apologize. We're just playing the fool. I'm just trying to have a look. I can't see that oxpecker again. It's a bit thick through here. I'm not, like I say, I just think I do still think it's a juvenile red-billed. Well, I think we're going to leave these kudu. Let's move on. Stef has a tiny creepy crawly he'd like to show you. Let's go and have a look.
Look at what we've managed to find in this Bushman's grape over here. I wouldn't exactly call it small, but have a look at that epic caterpillar. Fairly large. I'll just clear up the space between it and you at the moment so that you can have a good view of it. Have a look at that. Isn't that just incredible? With the head over here, hidden away in the foliage, the two false eyes on top of the head, giving it the look of something that's quite wary and aware. And that's because most things don't enjoy attacking you when you can see them. Most things enjoy attacking from behind or from above. And those false eyes just help this particular caterpillar. For whatever reason, I don't think it's particularly effective. It obviously is, otherwise it wouldn't be here from an evolutionary point of view, but we might find that it's a bit of a relic from an age gone by where they needed these huge eyes. And then this tail, that tail spur there, which is quite diagnostic. Now, I think this is a hawk moth caterpillar. I'm not 100% sure. I'm actually going to ask you for your help. I don't have my butterflies and caterpillars book here with me, but those two eyes, the green color, those two eyes, and then the black and red tail spur and size, is the size relative to my finger, so probably about as long as 3/4 the length of a pen, and probably about as thick as a pen. And if you wouldn't mind seeing what caterpillar this is from. I have no idea. I think it's a hawk moth caterpillar with that little spur on the back of the tail, or that tail spur, and the two false eyes on the top. Which hawk moth I'm absolutely unsure of at the moment. So your answers would be lovely, and you can send them either using that hashtag Safari Live, or you can use the email address questions@wildearth.tv, and I'll share it with you, or just learn about it when I get home. It'll be nice. Nice to see her. Now, for me, the most amazing thing about caterpillars is, of course, the transformation from caterpillar into moth or butterfly. From a terrestrial animal that is eats leaves and vegetables by crawling around and has sucker-like feet and at the back to hold on, and grasping feet at the front to grab vegetation and bring it to the mouth, to something that is airborne, has wings, scales that refract and reflect the sunlight, and are nectar feeding with a long tubular tongue that they can uncurl and stick down into the heart of flowers and suck up nectar and suck up fruit juice, basically. It just is one of the most amazing things for me out here in the bushes, how you do that. It would be the same as us, I don't know, getting into bed one night, spinning our sheet clothes around us and waking up the next morning and falling into the water because we've got scales and a tail and breathe through a hole in the top of our head. You know, it's just something bizarre. It's to change a medium, change the way that your body functions. To do that, you need a lot of energy. And the energy comes from the vegetation that they eat. These insects are incredibly good at accumulating that fatty deposits needed for that transformational change. And their body goes through a change. Their cells change, break apart, and basically reform at a cellular level. This whole thing disintegrates, becomes a mush, reorders itself, and comes out with wings, scales, a long pointy suck proboscis mouthpart. Just blows my mind. Now, Mike, you've asked me if this particular caterpillar is poisonous. I don't think so, Mike. The general rule of thumb out here with caterpillars is you can eat them as long as they don't have aposomatic colors on. So that would be bands of yellow, black and red. Now, this particular caterpillar does have a band of black and red on the tail there, and it absolutely does have yellow on the false eye on its head here. But those aposomatic coloration is when you have alternating bands of that color, and it must look pretty angry. You know, you get something like that dice moth caterpillar, or there's any number of insects out here that look cross. You know, they just have those bands are bright and a big bold warning. This one isn't. This one quite clearly is just trying to act like a leaf or a stick. The safe thing to be, if you were going to utilize this as a food source, Mike, would be to squash out all its insides and then pop it into your mouth. Even safer yet would be to fry it up in a pan or on a fire over the coals, and then when it's nice and black, pop it into your mouth. Always, though, squeezing the insides out. You don't want to eat what's inside a caterpillar. They can sometimes eat some poisonous things. Right, we're going to leave this caterpillar alone for the evening. For those of you who are going to send in some of the answers to what it is, thank you very much. And let's send you off to Byron. I don't know what he's got actually.
Hello everyone. Now I understand we're being viewed by the helicopter pilot himself, Connor. Hi Connor, and hello everyone from the drone. Now Connor, I'm going to try and direct you to a Marshall eagle, which we have just spotted. It flew off. Maybe we can get a view from the sky. Now it's in a very large, what looks like a marula, Connor, so I don't know how to explain it to you. It's directly east of where you are flying directly east. So basically where the vehicle is pointing at about 2 o'clock from me. So let's see if Connor can get a view of that eagle for you. It is a juvenile Marshall eagle, a young Marshall eagle. Let's see. Okay, there we go. You can see that juvenile Marshall sitting at the top of the tree. This is by far this is actually by far my favorite bird. I love a Marshall eagle. It is just so regal, so beautiful. Very large, powerful eagle. It looks like he's going to, I don't know, he's just balancing perhaps. Still sitting up there, a beautiful bird. Now, we've been seeing some of the leopards. I don't know how to, sorry, I'm just thinking now. I don't know how to explain to Connor the best way to get to that bird to try and view it from the air. It's on the other side of the vehicle. I don't know if you can explain to him, but it is on the other side. He should move directly over me and in the opposite direction to where he is now. Anyway, but I've been chatting, or we've been seeing some leopards with monitor lizards recently. I think it was Tundi. I can't remember if Tundi saw. This was a few weeks ago. I think it was with Jamie. But then, and then recently we had the young cubs of Karula, Hosanna and Shungile that managed to find a monitor lizard. I'm not sure if they killed it. And these Marshall eagles, actually, they specialize in hunting monitor lizards. They do. They're incredibly powerful, huge talons, powerful talons, and they're able to kill a. Let's see, Connor's heading a bit closer to that eagle. There we go. You're in the right direction now. Now it's okay. Let's see. Now let's go to the drone. Let's see if we get a view of this Marshall from the drone. Fantastic! Well done, Connor. That Marshall's still sitting up in the tree. That is incredible. Wow. That is amazing. I'll have a look. I unfortunately can't see the view that you've got at the moment, but I am very jealous. That is so great to be able to get a view of a Marshall eagle up at the top of a tree like that, a juvenile Marshall eagle. So as I said, very, very powerful. They've got huge talons, powerful talons, feed on these monitor lizards, but they've also been known to catch small antelope species. And I've seen a young martial eagle like this. Well, I mean, it's young, but it's still very big. I've seen it go and try and hunt a clip springer, which is small antelope that jumps on rocks. I haven't seen any on Djuma before, but we do get them in the Sabi Sands. About the same size as a steenbok, maybe a little bit bigger. But I've seen one of these juvenile martial eagles swoop down and try and catch this clip springer. So they do catch young antelope, maybe impala lambs too. They've been known to catch them. And you all enjoyed that drone view. That's great, something different. And you know what's nice is that with that drone view, the bird didn't feel disturbed. It's still sitting in the tree, and that's obviously what we want. So the drone's moving off now, but just such a lovely change of scenery, I suppose, change of view. It's such a great bird to see, and wonderful light on that eagle too. Well, that was a nice surprise, a nice find. We'll see what else we can find. Carry on. I'm going to head towards Twin Dams and see if I can't bump into anything around there. Maybe there's some animals drinking. Who knows? So let's head over there. I'm so glad you got to see my favorite bird, the martial eagle. Now, tadpoles and frogs seem to be the order of the day today. Chatting about it a lot. And Stef has found a frog. Let's see which one it is.
The top of my head may resemble a frog, but it isn't the frog that I want to show you. And while we were waiting for you, this particular female frog has dug herself into the sand. Now I want to see if I can show her to you, only because they're quite rare to see, but I'm going to try and do it without disturbing her too much. So right here, and also without getting bitten by a violin spider, but right here underneath the sand is a female bushveld rain frog, or was a female bushveld rain frog. Hello. Yeah, that is incredible. Literally disappeared. Alright, that's embarrassing. That is amazing. Oh, there she is there. Now she's a lot of times bigger than the male bushveld rain frogs. You've seen a couple of times, especially on the rainy day shows where we do shows out of the tent, where we have the male bushveld rain frogs. There she is. Have a look at that. Isn't that quite special? I just love the way they walk and their grumpy little faces. They are the cutest things. Oh, no, not impressed at all. So I think what we do is let's just herd her back into the hole. There you go, girl. Let her go. Get some cover. So there you go, the very rarely seen female bushveld rain frog. I'm actually quite glad we got to show that to you, because they are quite tough to see, these little frogs. And as you can see, I tried as much as I can not to handle her as much as possible. But I do want her to stay underneath the stump, which is where she's going to feel most at home, and bury herself in the sand. She'll come out when it rains again. She makes this funny little characteristic chirping call, which will attract males from all around. The males are no bigger than my thumbnail, legs and all, she was easily about as big as a golf ball. And when she decides that she likes the male, she basically kicks off a substance off of her skin, which the male then climbs up onto her back and he gets glued to her back. It's called adhesion. The frog's mating is called amplexus. This particular type of adhesion is called adhesion amplexus, and she carries him around like a backpack, basically, that just produces sperm for her eggs. She will then go and lay her eggs and he will fertilize them, and when she's finished with him, she then exudes another substance which dissolves the glue, and he then can carry on and find some more females. And she didn't have a male in attendance, and she's going to bury herself there in the sand until the next rainstorm. Isn't that cool? It's very awesome. Quite enjoy finding that. It's also not very often that you get to see them. All right. Now we've got a pirate fly that is busy feeding off of a termite. Now, right inside there, when we lifted up this log to follow this particular frog, we uncovered some termites. The termites themselves are here. They've all gone now. And the pirate flies, there's one pirate fly. I'm trying to show him to you. Let's see if he comes into the open. While he comes into the open, I have a chance to hopefully solve that quiz with that caterpillar that we were with. So Michael, who says that he's all the way from the UK, so difficult for me to hold you to this, Michael. Excuse me, Roger. So Roger, difficult for me to hold you to this, and quite rightly so. I mean, we're all just taking a chance at this one. You said the silver-striped hawk moth was the moth that belonged to that caterpillar. You know, thank you very much for your answer there. It sounds feasible, why not? So until proven otherwise, let's make it the silver-striped hawk moth. And thank you very much for that, Roger. So obviously you used that black and red tail spine, and then those two quite prominent yellowish eyes on top of the head of that particular caterpillar to help you with the hawk moth, and then which species it was. So quite nice. I quite enjoy the hawk moths. Quite fast flying. All right, here we've got that pirate fly back again. So there's the pirate fly there. And they feed off of termites and ants, in particular their larvae. But when every now and again you uncover something like this at the moment, they will come and pick up termites. They've got quite a nasty habit of picking up the termite and then just sucking it dry from the back. They don't even really kill it. They just literally pick it up, suck it dry, and then leave it, going on to the next one. Quite horrible things. I don't want to be a termite around pirate flies, to be quite honest with you. They're not my favorite thing. Interesting flies, nevertheless. All right, so while we carry on, and we're going to start making our way home sometime soon. It looks like the sun is going to be going, but we've still got quite a few segments left, hopefully. We're going to send you over to James, and we'll catch up with you when we find something else interesting down here.
There we have, everybody, the bird that Byron said this morning we cannot see. And it is a nediki. Isn't that lovely? Now, it's not a most spectacular bird. It's a member of the cisticola family. But there it is, doing its call, and he's absolutely right, of course, Byron. It's hardly ever seen. It doesn't often sit on the end of a tree like that and call, certainly not in my experience. And subtly different, you can see, from a rattling cisticola. Much greyer. Isn't that cool? I think that's probably a new bird for many of you. Byron is now asking if I'm sure that that's what I saw. Well, Byron, of course, if you had been watching this, you would have seen it going as the sound came out, which means that, yes, I think unless it is a ventriloquial rattling cisticola, which I think is highly unlikely, it is indeed a nediki. Byron, sucks to you. Right, let's go into the clearings. Byron unfortunately makes a good point. He says, I must understand his hesitation and his inability to believe me, because I called a black crake a moorhen earlier today. I think that's fair enough, Byron. Yes, okay, I'll grant you that. That was a dreadful mistake. Yes. Unfortunately, Byron is leaving us tomorrow. He is back to Johannesburg after the morning drive to go and get on with his life as a tour guide. No, not a tour guide, a tour operator. We shall be sad to see him go. He, of course, thinks he's having a farewell party tonight, forgetting that we all have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Byron now has a waterbuck that he'd like to show you. Please do inform him that I've already shown you a waterbuck, and you find his, well, a bit of the same, really.
Yeah, James, watch out for those birds that you are identifying out there. Look, but it happens to the best of us. I'm not saying that I always get the birds right, but I'm glad you saw the Nediki. And yes, I have found waterbuck, but I think these are far more beautiful than the ones that you got to see earlier, James. Or maybe not. So, James, is it not a farewell party? Is it more of a celebration that I'm leaving tomorrow? I think maybe that's... Nice to see these female waterbuck. There were some males earlier that moved off in the opposite direction. But there's a young male. Actually, lovely light at the moment. This is wonderful photography, and especially Genre did make a great point. These waterbuck look lovely backlit. You can see those hairy coats in the sunlight. Very nice. The young male is irritating the female, it looks like. You see her pushing him away. And it's quite interesting. It looks almost like that female potentially pregnant. That is now an impala that's joined our view. Or frame rather, but the one on the right, that female looks like she's possibly pregnant. You can see her teats very clearly. So I'm sure she's going to give birth very soon. We might have a young waterbuck wandering around here. That would be wonderful. There's the impala ram. I saw a bird just take flight past us. I want to see if we can... Mary, no. Antelope species, different species do not fight with one another. Not at all. They won't. I've never seen a impala take on a big waterbuck or a waterbuck take on a wildebeest. There's no reason for them to fight at all. There's no competition between them, so they wouldn't fight. So no, Mary, they do not. The only time antelope will fight with one another is if it's males of the same species and it's for dominance to try and mate with females. That's it. There's a bachelor herd of impala. That's also very nice. There's a lovely cool breeze blowing at the moment. Here comes an impala. He's going to run across the screen. There he goes. And I was hoping he'd do that. They do that wonderful stotting jump, where springbok do something similar, but it's known as pronking. Sorry, as I turned, I caught a glimpse of something flying very high. Now I think there might be vultures. I'm just going to see if I can see them. They are vultures, but very high. Sorry, Genre. Well done. And it's through the trees, even harder. Genre is, I think, had a lot of patience with me this afternoon. I haven't got the vehicle in the best position. Sometimes the animals have moved behind the trees. Genre, I'm sorry. Now, what were we talking about again? The, oh dear, I've lost my train of thought. What were we speaking about, Chandra? The impala, the stotting, yes. So the springbok do something similar. It's known as pronking. Now I'm going to show you what it is. Excuse me a second. Let me jump off here. Chandra, do you want the good news or the bad news? The good news is we've got a wheel spanner. The bad news is looks like we've got a flat tire. So best you get changing fairly quickly while I wait and talk to the viewers. Now the springbok do something known as pronking, where they literally stiff-legged, they stack and they bounce. And they kind of jump like this too. And it's actually they arch their back and they bounce like this, really high up. It's incredible to see it, and that's known as pronking. But then the impala, they do something known as stotting, where they run and they jump, but they arc in the air. They kick their back legs up. So they kind of, I can't do it, but something like that. And they rock in the air, and that's known as stotting. Also, but the reason for them doing that is apparently the theory is that they are looking to show that they are fit and healthy and to deter predators from hunting them. Now, I'm not sure if it's exactly the case. I think it's also maybe it's a social behavior that they do, but I think it is to show that they are healthy, that they're able to jump and change direction and move around very quickly. And the idea, and again the theory, is that it deters predators from possibly hunting them. So I'm not sure. Oh dear, now Steph is having a drink of water again. I'm not sure if he's got a sock out this time or what he's using. I'm going to have a look at this tire and see if it needs changing. Let's go to Steph.
I'm not going to drink water through my sock this time, thankfully, but I am going to try something that I read the other day in a book by one of my favorite authors, a lady called Veronica Ruitt, who's spent a lot of time in the Okavango Delta in Botswana, which is basically a river that forms an inland delta, and then the water disappears into a couple of faults and into the sands of the Kalahari and disappears forever from there. And she talks about an asparagus plant being able to be used as a washing powder substitute. I know that a lot of plants out here get used for washing powder. I mean, you've seen me make some soap perhaps from time to time out of the devil's thorn and out of the wild sesame, but you've never seen me make a washing powder out of these plants, out of especially the asparagus, and mainly because I've never tried it before. So this is an asparagus. It's a particularly spiny plant, and you can eat the new shoots of the asparagus. So you can break off the ends of the asparagus like this, and you can eat them. They don't taste particularly good. And they're pretty good in iron and stuff like that, but apparently you can also shake them in water, and it's supposed to produce a type of foam. So, I must be honest with you, it isn't the best thing ever. So let's just see. I've used the last little bit of my water for today, my ration. And you're supposed to agitate the water, and it's supposed to foam. So let's see. Obviously that's granted I've identified the right plant, but I think I have those spines that are sticking into my fingers. You can see those little thorns over there. They are telling me that this is the right type of plant. So what I'm trying to do now is get it to foam, to see if it will foam. It doesn't look like it's foaming. Craig, is it foaming? No? No. No. No foam, Miss Root. Not with this particular. I've got Kirsty telling me on my head, at least it isn't for TV. I've got this rather annoying habit for the rest of my teammates of trying new things when we are practicing for TV. And at least in this particular case, I've shared the journey with you, which I think is important. I don't want to do all these things on my own, to be honest with you. How boring would that be? So anyway, I read somewhere that the asparagus can be used as a washing powder substitute and that it foams up the water. But it seems like the asparagus that we have here in Djuma in the Kruger National Park does nothing except for make the water a little bit opaque, but that might also be the dust that's in here. Does it taste particularly washing powdery? I wouldn't say it's the nicest water that I've ever drunk, to be quite honest with you. It's not particularly tasty. Probably not the best thing that I finish the rest of that water, to be honest with you. We'll see what effect that has on me. I'll let you know tomorrow. Right. Anyway, I'm going to pass you on to James. To you later.
Right, everybody, here we are at the plains of Nkoro, which are called Kalko, and I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means, David?
Naked hole.
Naked hole. Are you sure?
Yes. Naked mark, rather.
Who told you that?
I'm Afrikaans, James.
You're not Afrikaans, David. Your name is Eastor.
Yes. Well, my mom is.
Your mother's Afrikaans.
Yes.
And so Kalko means naked hole.
Indeed.
Do you have any idea why on earth somebody would have named a clearing Naked Hole?
It's more the naked marking, rather.
A naked marking rather than a hole. So here we are, everybody. Let me begin this segment again. Welcome to Naked Marking Clearings at Nkoro. We're not actually in Nkoro, just in case anyone's watching thinking, oh, they're trespassing. We're not. We're just looking into Nkoro, where the wildebeest are lying in naked marking clearing.
It's referring to the no bush.
Yes, I think I get the reference. Thank you very much, David. It looks like two cows in the background, one lonely bull in the front. Clearly he's had a fight with his ladies, and they're not very happy. He looks quite depressed, I feel. Don't you think? They do always look slightly depressed, though. I'm not sure what a happy wildebeest looks like. Now, Brianna, you're in Ohio, and this question's actually quite easy to answer for yourself, simply because it's a common answer. You say, how long do wildebeest live? Brianna, they live probably for between 14 and 16 years. Now, interestingly, that is the potential age of just about all the antelope species out here. Impala, probably 12-ish years. The waterbuck, I'd say 14 to 16 years. The kudu, bulls a bit younger. Cows around that age. Giraffe, also probably around that age, maybe a little bit older. The duiker and steenbok probably, because they're very little, so they probably don't live quite as long. But it's round about that age for just about everything, depending on their weight. So if they're a little bit lighter and smaller, they're going to live slightly less long. If they're a little bit bigger, they'll live for a bit longer. Potentially, though, I suspect that you could get a wildebeest to live to about 20 if it was in captivity. But out here, you see, once you start getting old and arthritic and decrepit, then it becomes very difficult to escape from lions that are a bit fitter and stronger and hungrier than you are. It must be quite a thing to know. I suppose they don't know this, of course, but to know that your life is going to come to the end at the claws and teeth of a lion. Not gently into retirement shall you go. Now, Trevor, you want to know if I can make the sound of a wildebeest. I will do my best. Bow. 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 That's what a wildebeest does. That's why it's called a gnu. It goes... Bow. 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 How's that, David?
Great.
Okay, good. Let's have one last look at the bow, and then we'll press on to Buffalo Pan. I also would like you all to very much have a look at the beautiful cloudscape that is on the horizon there. David, all sorts of lovely colours there. White, of course, a very pale sapphire blue surrounding the clouds, moving down towards a sort of peachy ginger colour at the bottom of the thunderhead. It's all rather pretty, I'd say. I'm going to break the law. I broke the law, everybody. I took a picture. Let's go to Buffalo Pan. I nearly took a panorama, but I thought that would probably be a little bit overkill, you know. Now, apparently Stef has become overwhelmed with exhaustion during the course of his walk. I suspect he may have poisoned himself almost to death by the asparagus. Let's go and find out.
I haven't poisoned myself with that asparagus, but as we'll say, time is yet to tell. Now, we've got this little insect in front of us over here, one of my favorite. This is called the hairy bee fly, and is a type of fly, so a real dipterid. So bees and mosquitoes, flies and mosquitoes, and just have a look at that. You see it's covered in these fine hairs, looks like a little flying cotton bud, and has a long proboscis from which it sucks the nectar out of flowers. Now, the ecological importance of these bee flies is that there's a bee fly in the Cape that has a proboscis that is many times the length of its body. In actual fact, it holds the record for having the longest proboscis to body length ratio of any insect in the world. That belongs to one of the bee flies, and they're larvae of significant importance to people because they lay their eggs on locusts, and the maggots control locusts, so they feed on locusts and therefore keep locust numbers down, and so help with grass propagation and the health of an ecosystem. Isn't that just incredible that this little basically invisible fluff ball with 2 wings and a sharp nose has such an amazing diversity? Now, they are active during the day, during the heat of the day actually, and so at night time they find them rest like this one has a little bit earlier on this evening, and will eventually then just spend the night probably here unless it gets disturbed. It gives us such a nice time to actually have a look at it and to study it in just even a little bit of detail that we have. So true fly, having just the 2 wings. What it would have underneath and slightly forward of those 2 wings are 2 vestigial wings, or the remnants of when it used to have 4 wings. Most of the insects have 4 wings, except for the dipterids. And just have a look at that fantastic creature. What the fur on them is for, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Generally speaking, fur is a type of insulation, so it could be, and this is just a guess on my part, it could be because they are so active during the day and during the middle of the day that those hair that you're looking at there helps to insulate them from the heat of the sun. It could also help to ward off whatever predator. Perhaps with them flying around in the middle of the day, there's something that enjoys eating them, and that fur on their body helps to deter them being preyed upon by that particular type of predator. I'm not too sure. Could be any one of dozens of different reasons why. This fly is just being really obliging with us this afternoon. Really quite awesome. I don't think I've ever had a bee fly sit quite so still with us being quite so close. Pretty awesome afternoon, I must be honest with you. I'm having a lot of fun over here. Alright, I'm hearing we need to reboot this bushwalk back. It's getting to that time of the day where we need to just push the reset button again. And so we're going to send you off to James and catch you on the other side of the reboot.
Right, we are live now. Kirsten, just to keep you aware, I think we are running out of comms, but that's alright. We've arrived at Buffalo Pan, where there are no beefaloes. But what else will we find here? We found a hippo here the other day. Lots of weaver birds. We'll find out how their lives are going, progressing. I can hear all the weavers calling. Such a pretty spot this, it really is. This is the place to have a sundown, everyone. In fact, look at all the birds here in this tree straight in front of us. That's all the weavers, the spotted-backed or village weavers, male and female, now attempting to power themselves using the power of the sun. That keeps this pan full. But what they were eating was the white berries here in the white berry bush, and they're supposed to be seed eaters, but clearly they also like a bit of fruit now and again. That was very cool. And most of them will be flying back to their nests, which we are going to look at immediately. So that is a solar-powered pump that just puts water into this dam. Kirsten, if you do wish to send a question, I would suggest you do it on the WhatsApp. Unless you try and just give me a comms test. Yes, no comms. So I think the WhatsApp is the only way to go from here. Oh, David, you fixed your bowl. Now we've got the vast expanse here of the dam, and we'll go around to the other side to the best spot, but this is a little taster. And we've got some foam nest froggies. Off to the right-hand side, well done. And I'm not sure if they're actually living there. Well, I know that there are tadpoles in there. What I mean is, I'm not sure if they've hatched or not and disappeared down into the water. Right, let's move on around the corner and we'll have a look at the weavers' nests. Very pleasant spot. This really is the ideal sunset spot, and we will actually get the sunset from this very spot. Oh, look at that, David. Say not that I never do anything for you. Isn't that pretty? Sun just going down on Cheetah Plains over Buffalo Pan. Gorgeous. And I will show you the weavers' nests shortly. That's very pretty indeed. David, how do you make the picture so pretty? I mean, that is astounding. Lots of practice, eh? I'll safely tell you that the picture I'm illegally taking now doesn't look anything like that. Anyway, that's just the way it goes. Oh, there's a hippo. Now, he was so shy the last time we were here, he wouldn't lift his head for more than sort of, I don't know, 5 or 10 seconds at a time to breathe and have a look, and then he'd disappear under the water. That is a big hippopotamus. That is not a small fellow. And I think that he's may even be an old bull that perhaps has lost out a territory and he's just sort of come to retire here for a while or to recuperate from a big fight. But he is massive. That's a full-grown hippo bull, that. A very tired full-grown hippo bull, apparently. Look at him sleeping there. Isn't that great? Just dozing off quietly to himself. Marvellous. Then, David, as the hippopotamus falls asleep, let's go up to the tree to see how our weavers are doing. Oh, look. Debbie, you're in Vancouver saying that you love this dam. It's your favourite dam. It's my new favourite dam as well. There are a whole lot of actual building operations in progress. There's one. Now, what I've never seen, what you read about, is that the females will tear apart a nest that they don't like. And I've never seen that. Quite like to see it. Although I'd probably feel quite sorry for the bird whose potential consort was tearing his beak apart or tearing his home apart. They're all going crazy suddenly now. Here they're all coming back. A great wildness building. Some of them have come in with grass, some of them are just flapping. Maybe the ladies are coming round and they're all demonstrating, saying, "Come to my place. It's cosy in here." I think that's what's going on. Some of them, however, are going to be sorely disappointed because they haven't finished their homes. Now, apparently, despite the fact that this is an absolutely stunning and fascinating sighting, Stefan Winterboer has a sunset that tops even what we have here.
You know, coming around about this time of day, it's amazing how almost every field guide and obviously their guests, and you're my guest at the moment, and James's guest, and Byron's guest, and everyone's guest get to share a sunset. And you're lucky enough to share 3 different sunsets, or at least I know that James and I are busy having a look at the sunset. It's always one of those nice things to do at the end of a day, is to watch a sunset. Big hot day like it was today, topping at about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Nice day. But we've got another view as well, not just the two of us. We've also got the drone giving us a sunset shot. So off you go and have a look at that, and we'll catch up with you now. Just have a look at that now. Sun setting in the west. Absolutely clear blue skies from the rain that we've had here over the last couple of days. So nice bright sun, definitely not that red sun from all the dust that we have in the atmosphere, so that nice bright yellow ball, and it should be going down probably in the next sort of, I would say, less than 2 minutes. That sun will be completely gone and setting right over the Drakensberg Mountains that you can see way in the distance off to the left and right of that glowing orb at the moment. With such a clear sunset, I would imagine that sunrise tomorrow morning is going to be equally as brilliant. If it's not covered in clouds, there's some towering clouds, both in the direction that you're looking at over the escarpment, but also around us on the eastern side. Really beautiful, beautiful. Wasn't that just epic? I quite love that drone, I must be honest with you. It adds such a nice dynamic to you being able to see where we are and what we get up to, and to share that sunset. So I predicted that the sun would be gone in about 2 minutes, and I think we're going to stay here for those 2 minutes. Have a look at that high level cloud now coming out and being refracted by the sun. That is cloud that's lying, or ice clouds lying very high up in the atmosphere, is being reflecting the sun's rays as the sun is now striking them from the bottom. Very cool. Oh, the end of a day. This is one of those times where you can just sort of sit back and breathe out big chunks of air and energy. Not every day that you get to enjoy a sunset like this, I must be honest with you. We're standing on top of a termite mound, not because we've been chased up here by an elephant, but it's because it gives us a little bit of elevation over the vegetation around us and allows us to actually see the sun going down. Now, of course, it's quite bad to stare into the sun when it's this bright, when there's a lot of dust in the atmosphere and the sun is this big red ball, and you can stare at it for a little bit longer. But in this particular case, that sun is just extreme. Alright, now for another view, just before the sun goes down, we'll see you on the other side of the sunset. Byron's busy having a look at what the sun is doing to the clouds where he is at the moment.
We are indeed. We've managed to change our flat tire and onto one with another flat tire. However, we've got a wonderful view of the cloud. That's about all I could find right now. But it is beautiful. Oh, there's a lovely red-chested cuckoo calling in the distance. Now, this is a cumulonimbus cloud. Now, that is usually associated with rain. These big anvil-shaped clouds. It's the best way to describe them, but they are magnificent. They're wonderful creations of fluff. How else would you describe a cloud? Anyway, they really are very, very beautiful, and I don't think we're going to get any rain tonight. That looks like quite a way over the Kruger National Park to our east. but magnificent, huge clouds. I think what I'm going to do is we're going to start kind of making our way in the direction of camp, and we don't want to be stuck out too far with two flat tires. The one is going down, the one that we changed is going down at the moment. Murphy's Law, I suppose. You check these tires all the time, and they get fixed and repaired, and the next thing, somehow, miraculously, they go flat. I think James and Steph probably sabotaged my vehicle before we went out. This is a going away present, perhaps. Who knows? Kirsten says it's because they don't want me to leave. Well, thank you, Kirsten. I wonder if that was said in jest. Thought so. Impala rams again. Nice bachelor herd. There they go. Quite a few of them around. We've had a fairly quiet afternoon, I suppose, on our side. It happens like that. I must be honest, I was just thinking, quite a few of the drives that I've done recently, the last few days, we've seen so much. We've had cheetah, we've had leopards, we've had lions, we've had elephant. There's been a lot going on. And then every now and then you get a drive like this where it just gets a little bit quiet. But that's okay, you know. That keeps us humble, I suppose, because you know you can never guarantee you're going to see anything out here. I think maybe that's my tip of the day today. I haven't given a tip of the day today, I don't think. Did I this morning? I can't remember, Kirst. The days start rolling into one. I can't remember. But another tip of the day, I suppose, if I didn't give one this morning, is when you come out on safari, don't expect that you are going to see everything, because it doesn't work like that. And these are wild animals, and certainly for my guests, I never guarantee that we are going to see everything. I do recommend and go into places that I know the game viewing is very good, but still, you know, even then, you can never guarantee you are going to see everything. So don't expect. Just let the bush kind of reveal itself to you. I think that's probably the most important thing. Things will happen around you, but don't just expect and assume you are going to see everything, because it doesn't happen like that. James, as always, the thing I'd really like to see from start to finish here on WildEarth or on Safari Live is a honey badger. I'd love to see a honey badger. I've not seen one for years, so you know that would be great. Who knows? Maybe tonight or tomorrow morning, perhaps. I think my best chance is probably in the morning. Early morning, might get one moving around, still foraging for food. Can hear some cicadas calling off to the right. Let's see if we can hear them quickly. Hold on. There we go, the cicada. It's incredibly loud, that sound of the cicada bug. Some birds giving their last calls of the evening. Some francolin calling in front of us. I could hear some doves calling. you asked if I could do the tuk-tuki call before I go. Well, Trevor, I'm not sure. You obviously mean the one that I did a while ago when the tuk-tuki walks around. But we know it knocks, it taps, so it's just a tapping sound. But I described it as going tuk-tuki, but it doesn't do that. It doesn't do that. So it just taps. I don't know why I thought that. Anyway, that's why I burst out laughing last time. Oops. Sometimes we think it sounds right in our head. No, that's completely wrong. We are human after all. Just keeping an eye on this tire. Seems to be okay. I think if we pump it up, it would be fine. I've managed to find something. Some primates walking across the clearing. They're funny looking. And have a look at that. Now, if I were you, I wouldn't get your cameras out for this because probably not going to make a pretty photo. You know what I should do is I should get them to help change the tire, perhaps. And it's Batman. So Batman and Herbie, hello, how are you? Steph? Yes, so the tires are all flat, Steph. Oh, that's why we're going back to change it.
It would be easy to drive on a dead straight road with no contact. Hello.
Hello, Steph, how are you? Good. Have you eaten anything funny today?
I may have swallowed some water with some asparagus foam juice in it. We'll see what that does. So far, so good. No murmurs.
No murmurs. Well, we've got some smecta for you if we need. All right. Well, we'll see you later. I'm just going to hang around just in case this gets a bit worse. I'd like to pump it up, perhaps quickly.
Bye.
See you later. Be safe. 360-degree awareness. It's a good rule. Good rule while out here. All right, well, we've just passed Steph. Quickly go back to him and let him say goodbye to you.
Oh, Byron is such a clown. I'm going to enjoy watching him sweat out the last little bit of heat of the day, changing that tyre with those big, heavy, high-lift jacks. Anyway, it's come to that part of the day where myself and Craig and Herbie have to say goodbye. And so thank you very much for all your help. And thank you, Rodney, for the help with that hawk moth identification. And to everybody else that submitted an answer as well. We'll catch you on tomorrow morning Sunrise Safari. And off to James you go. Bye-bye.
Now, it is, of course, very wonderful being out here. This horizon has turned a sort of honeyed ginger colour. There's some zebra up ahead, and we are going to head away from Cheetah Plains. I, of course, will now come here every single day to see if I can't find the cheetah that we saw in this area some time back. It's just a kind of psychological problem I have. Once I've seen it... Ooh! Whistling ducks. There they go. Whistling they were. That was very nice. Anyway, I'm just talking about this psychological thing that us guides have. As soon as we see an animal in one place, we kind of assume that we're going to find it there again every time. I've stopped here because this is the most perfect pond for a frog. Doesn't it look perfect? Now, if I was a frog, I would be sitting on one of those aquatic plants. They're not lilies, but they're pretty close to it, and I'd be singing my head off. Have you got one? Oh, the ducks. Not a frog then, a duck. No, that's all right. Well done. Let's try one more look for some frogs. I can hear quite a few in the pan sort of behind us, but I think the ones that live here heard us coming, and then they stopped their chirruping and chirping. Good. On we go. And this is the first night that at 6:30 I've thought to myself, I hope the bushwalk is back, because it is just sudden. It's not sudden, of course, but we're now going to have to drive a little bit with the lights on at the end of the drive, because it's getting that much darker as the season progresses. We'll have a look at some zebra over here. I'd love to know where the word zebra comes from and why it changed from zebra to zebra. There are the zebra, David. Do you see them? I probably could have parked you with a more sunsetish view, but I think that will do. There they are, pleasantly moving across the plains with a very little one. That one can't be more than a month old. It's just made a little squeaking noise. It's very cute. There's Mum saying, don't run too far. Night time's coming. You need to stay close to the herd. They really are just stunning, aren't they? Beautiful. Mary, as we look at that little thing, hoping fervently that your question is not going to be answered tonight, you say, what animals prey on zebras? Lions prey on zebras. Young zebra like that could be taken by a leopard, but because it's with the protection of the herd, it won't be taken by a leopard, or it's highly unlikely to be. But it's mainly lions that will take zebras. Spotted hyenas will as well, but it's lions in this area. That's gorgeous. That really is very pretty indeed. All feels right with the world as the sun goes down over cheetah plains, and the zebras will probably spend most of the night here. They may head off towards Mala Mala, which is not far from here. And they've got some water there. In fact, there's water everywhere. I think they're probably just going to spend the night in the clearings here, hoping desperately not to be eaten. And the little one will cavort around until one of them disciplines it. And there's quite a lot of discipline that goes on in a zebra herd. It's quite a violent society. And you might also just be able to hear the sounds of a few crickets, and I can hear a mole cricket going in the grass. And Marcy, you say this is your very first time seeing a baby zebra. Well, I'm so glad, because I think they're rather spectacular, aren't they? They look so very tiny. Well, I mean, they are so very tiny, but they it's that kind of gangly leggedness about them that I so enjoy. Nasty little teeth that will eventually turn into quite fearsome weapons when it becomes a big zebra. What a perfect little scene we have going here. In the background, like I said, the mole crickets, a couple of birds calling, some starlings, some frogs way in the background. Toop, toop, toop. Some babblers. And a gorgeous sky. The sky, David said to me today that I wasn't describing the colours enough anymore, so I'm making an effort to do the same, to do it again. And I'm going to try and describe that sky to you in terms of its colour. I'm not sure what you'd call a pale blue like that. It's I think sapphire is definitely the wrong blue colour. Maybe a sort of pale azure with honeyed orange just below. Yes, that's what that is. That is honeyed orange strung across, and there's some ubiquitous Egyptian geese. Byron apparently has described it as yellow and gold, and suffixed that with "it's easy." Thank you, Byron. The Wilbur Smith book that you read during your time here with us has clearly improved your vocabulary immeasurably. Let's carry on. Mario, I'm afraid your question came through as though asked by R2D2. Let's ask for it again. Zebra males, are there any there? Yes, there are. I'll just see if I can't get a shot of one here. There'll be one male in that group there. And we'll see if I can spot which one he is. He will be the biggest. He will be the least interested in the babies. That's him there. That's the tallest one that you can see on the left-hand side. That's him. No, that's a mare. It's the one in front of that one. There we go. I think that's him there. And no, is it? No, that's also a mare. They're both mares. Are they? Normally you can tell by the, and I'd like to say this is a sort of euphemistic statement, that you can tell because of the wide stripe behind the tail, but that of course is the zebra's genitalia that you can see behind the tail. So I think that's a mare as well. Is it? It can't be, man. Just go on to that one, David, if you wouldn't mind. The big one, second from the left. That is the big zebra. But it's definitely a mare. It's definitely not a male. Just pan slowly to the right, if you don't mind. Those ones are from a separate kingship group. So, I mean, there should be a male in this group too. That's obviously a female. You know what, Mario, I don't think there is a stallion in this group, unless it's the one far behind there. Ooh, that one's got an injury. That's very strange. Unless it's the one at the far end there. But, I mean, he's smaller than some of the females, if that's one of the males. Yeah, just quickly get that one at the back there, Dave. No, to the right, sorry. Of the group, yeah, that one. Then you can just use bottom. Down a bit. Down a bit. That one there. The one that we can't see properly. Yeah, that's him. There he is. We'll go with that as the male, Mario. And we'll zoom out before I can confuse you further. Right, Byron is going to say goodbye to you for all of us, basically, and I'm going to say goodbye to you on behalf of David and I now, and thank you for coming on safari with us today, and we will see you tomorrow, of course, at 0500. Until then, bye-bye.
Thank you very much, James. Perhaps the book I'm reading has helped a little bit with the vocabulary. Who knows? But you are 100% right. An amazing, or a few amazing colours in the sky at the moment. Just another beautiful sunset, and very different with those wispy clouds across the sky, cirrus clouds. Lauren, favourite experience this time round at Safari Live? What would it have been? I'm trying to think. I really enjoyed seeing that elephant swimming this morning. That was just so wonderful to see. I enjoyed seeing Karula and her cubs with that monitor lizard. That was unusual, a big monitor lizard. What else did I see this time? Hard to, Karula on foot, finding Karula on foot, that female leopard. I mean, something like that is really great. And I think those elephant that we saw on foot, the other two. So I think the walking experiences have been great this time round. Viewing an animal on foot is completely different, and it was a wonderful experience. So I think, those few highlights would definitely be highlights for this trip. And who knows what the next trip holds. But thank you very much again, everyone, for joining us this afternoon. So I know Steph and them all said goodbye already, and so did James and Dave, and from myself and Jean-Andre. And a big thank you to the voices in my head, Kirsten, and I'm not sure who was with Kirsten this afternoon in Final Control. I think it was Louise. Thank you so much, ladies, and Thank you. We'll see you all tomorrow morning for our sunrise safari. My last drive with you for this stint. Good night. Goodbye. We'll see you all tomorrow.